There are a ton of different enemies in Dead Rails, ranging between anything from regular zombies to massive big buff men with no faces. However, you have a little bit of everything in this game. Some enemies are dangerous, some are just kinda there. So let's take a step backward and analyze all of the enemies in all of Dead Rails and rank them on a tier list from weakest to hardest enemies. Got it? Awesome. If you end up enjoying this tier list, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Even if you want to tear my skin off of my body by the end of the video, please hit that subscribe button still. That'd be good. I did do a video like this before, but we didn't have all of the enemies that we do in-game now, so it is 100% worth revisiting. And with that said, let's get straight into the video. The basic zombie is basically of no threat to anybody whatsoever. They're slow, moving at about the same pace as a regular player, and so long as you keep backing up, they're literally no threat to you. They're easily killed with a few charged melee hits, or alternatively, depending on the gun, a couple of headshots. It's super easy and fun to fight. They've got to be D-tier difficulty though, sadly. Though I guess you don't want them too OP with how common they are. I think most people would agree with me that the runner zombies are one of the most annoying enemies in the entire game. While not any more difficult in terms of health or damage than regular zombies, that I can tell at least, what's annoying about these guys, if you've rubbed those last two brain cells together, is their speed. They're about twice as fast as you, give or take, and can be very annoying to deal with, mostly in early game though. There you are, on your way to loot your first house, shovel in hand, and there comes the Flash, ready to rip your face off. Even later in the game, they're just super annoying to deal with, and I can't stand dealing with these guys. I've got to go with A tier. I honestly really hate them. The banker zombie is just as much of a threat as the regular zombie is, that being not much at all. They're actually super useful since they contain the code to the bank vaults in town, but are also useful because, like any other zombie, they can be used as fuel. You really don't have to pay these guys any minds. You're not really gonna see them. You'll kind of more have to go looking for them a lot of the times. And them being the same difficult as the regular zombie leads them to also work out as D tier on the list. The Ironclad Zombie used to be the bane of my existence, absolutely chewing through all of my ammo and being really annoying to kill overall. However, there are two simple ways to deal with the Ironclad Zombie that make it not remotely threatening at all. First, you can hit them with melees. Melees actually pierce their armor 100%, making them effectively as easy to kill as regular zombies, though secondly, you can literally just shoot their feet. Yes, they're not going to do as much damage as headshots, but it saves you from either getting smacked while trying to melee them, or it just saves you the ammo of having to spam it into their armor. A little more difficult than the standard zombies, but not super hard as long as you know how to aim foot level. I think C tier is pretty fair for these guys. Depending on the kind of Dead Rails player you are, you'll either say that the Dynamite Zombie is the easiest enemy or the worst enemy to fight in-game. You see, these guys are super easy to kill with any old gun. Just don't use a melee, we'll get into that. However, they run just as fast as you, so if you do get in their kill radius and fail to kill them in time after alerting them, well, yeah, you're dead. These dudes blow up with a pretty huge blast, though they are fairly easy to spot in towns, at least at night, since they do have mining helmets that allow you to see light emitting from around a corner, and that'll let you know exactly what to expect. Otherwise, they don't really stand out at all during the day, other than kind of if you just see them head on. And to me, they're the most dangerous part about these Sterling mines, since it's super close quarters and they legit can just spawn directly on you, leaving you little room to escape. They can also blow you up through walls, so that's neat. Fun fact about these guys, if you manage to kill them before it starts their timer for their dynamites, you can actually hold them up and use them as a kind of pseudo flashlight. Pretty cool, huh? With that said though, A tier, I really hate dealing with these guys, and they can absolutely jump scare the crap out of you. The Sheriff Zombie is one that, at least for me, was not all too common up until the last couple of weeks, for whatever reason. They're exactly what you'd expect from the name. They're zombies that have guns and they shoot at you. Not too hard to grasp the concept of, I hope. They're also not that hard to kill though, but do typically end up being kind of a jump scare for me. They can actually be really dangerous. While, like I said, they're not super hard to kill, they can obviously beam you sometimes since they have guns, leaving you super vulnerable to not only their damage, but to nearby zombies if you end up having to dismount a horse or if you end up having to duck behind a building, whatever the case. Though there isn't much more to say about them, and I think that B tier works fairly well. I don't know, I just really hate these guys. Man, I always forget just how many zombie types there really are in this game. Anyways, the zombie soldier, and we technically have two types of these guys, and I'll differentiate the two on the tier list here like I did not do before. First, we're going to talk about the sword zombie soldiers. These guys can be found exclusively at the military base, Fort Constitution, and the sword ones in particular are basically just regular zombies but with swords. I think they do a little bit more damage, but it's hard to tell whenever everything in the military base swarms you at once, but I will risk it and say that they do. I'm going to have to go with C tier as well. They are a little bit more dangerous than the regular zombie, but not really any more deadly in other aspects. The soldier zombies that spawn with guns, however, are on their own. They're really not much more deadly than even like the sheriff zombies that we just talked about, but in groups like how they spawn, they are awful to deal with. However, we are going to rate them based on their own individual difficulties, and for these guys, I'd probably say it's about a B tier. The last main zombie soldier, though, that we're going to be talking about are the horse-mounted guys. Yes, they can spawn with swords or guns, but honestly, we're just going to group them all into the horse zombie soldier guys. My god, they are one of the most annoying enemies in the entirety of Dead Rails. They do spawn after a while of fighting in the military base, but because they are on horses, they just fly into your face and melt all of your health, being even harder to hit because you just end up damaging the horse while leaving the actual enemy free to damage you. So you basically have to kill two things to get out of combat with them. I've got to go with S tier. These dudes are awful. I hate fighting them. If you've been here, you know. Technically, there is one more zombie type-ish from the military base. That is Captain Prescott. He's more of a single unique enemy. He just spawns with a sword. He's like a regular zombie horse guy, but he drops you his key. It's good. Very nice. C tier, though. No worse than any other soldier or zombie with a sword. The lab zombie. Yes, even more. God, there's a lot of zombies in this game. The lab zombie slash scientist zombie is another zombie that is unique to a location. That, in this case, would be the Tesla lab. These dudes are effectively just all runner zombies and are summoned whenever you start the Nikola Tesla Easter egg. I hate these guys so much, if not more than the regular runner zombies, mostly because they spawn in a massive horde, though I don't think they're any more difficult than the regular runner zombies. I just hate dealing with these guys. If you don't like the runner zombies, these guys are a million times worse while also being the same. And it just kind of makes them into like a top tier annoyance in my left cheek. A tier has to work for these guys. I don't think anybody else would disagree. We've got a few different types of outlaws, since some of them spawn with rifles, revolvers, and sawed-off shotguns, and actually, yeah, I think that's about it. But I'm just gonna group them all as outlaws. These dudes easily beam you, and even whenever you're driving by with a train and you come across them, they can just shred you while you're driving. You're just going with full HP, bam, game's over. They are easy to kill from a distance, though, because you do have to be fairly close for them to actually kind of notice you, so things like bandit camps, provided that you have a rifle or a bolt action, are fairly easy to tackle. It's whenever you go into a town or other kind of building where they happen to be around, where they can just jump scare the crap out of you, and it's just over. Your game's just over. I'm probably gonna go with A tier again. For those of you wondering why it's not higher, though, just you wait. Yeah, the outlaws on horses are the worst. They have all of the annoying aspects of the regular outlaws, the jump scares, the beaming. These guys always spawn with guns on their horses, and they just eat you alive with bullets. If you let them get close to your train whatsoever, they will chase after you, and regardless of how prepared you are, if you don't have Molotovs or holy water, once they're glued to the side of your train, don't even try to fight them. Because all it takes is one horribly placed headshot and your game's over. You'd be hard-pressed to change my mind that they're not S tier. And nothing more needs to be said. I hope these guys rot in a hole. Vampires are a little bit annoying, but they're not too bad. The worst part about them has got to be the fact that they teleport, but lately they just kind of don't. I don't know why. That said, they have more health than regular base kind of like zombie type enemies and move a little bit faster than the base class does. They can be found almost exclusively in castles, but are more commonly seen during blood moons whenever they spawn as the main enemy during nighttime. They're really not that bad on their own individually. They don't have any kind of special melees or anything like that, or any kind of ability other than teleportation. And generally they are a bit worse than regular zombies, and I think for that reason they probably got to be about a B tier, at least whenever they're working right. Whenever I think of Dead Rails, I think of two main things, zombies and werewolves. Mostly because werewolves in this game look like they do in no other game, leading to a very distinct look. I don't know how else to put it. You just kind of look at it and you know. But they're a lot of fun to fight, actually. They have a lot of HP, they move really fast, and they do a lot of damage, and it poses just a great mix of challenge, all the while not being so annoying that you're just like tired of seeing them. They are mostly found inside of the castle alongside the vampires, but they can be found roaming even during the day with like larger packs of wolves. And of course, during the full moon nighttime event, they can also spawn as the main enemy, kind of similar to vampires. I'd say these guys also probably have to be about a B tier, maybe closer to A. It just kind of depends on your situation. I really could go either way, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. For now, though, I'm gonna probably just go with B. Speaking of werewolves, regular wolves also do exist, which, yeah, if you've ever played this game, you probably know that. But they're cool little dudes, I've got to be honest. They don't do much damage, they move a tiny bit faster than regular players, they can also be tamed, and they can be put into your sack for ultimate gaming power. And yeah, they're like legitimately just zero threat. It's usually a good idea to actually try and grab them because of the fact that they're more useful as an ally than they are dangerous as an enemy. I'm gonna go with D tier, but I love these little dudes though. They're just D tier in difficulty, though they're S tier in my heart. Yep, we're back to the zombies. Of course we are. Much like the wolves, I love the skeleton zombies. They're my favorite looking enemy in the entire game, carrying pickaxes and mining helmets. And I mean, they're just skeletons. It's cool. These dudes are basically the regular old zombies, stats-wise, as far as I can tell. Just, you know, skeletons with pickaxes. They're exclusive to the Sterling Mine and mostly not really that much of a threat, other than the fact that you're guaranteed to fight them in a close quarter environments. And just because of that, they're, again, not much of a threat. So I think C tier probably works. I think they might be a tiny bit more difficult than the zombies because of the pickaxe, but unsure. Let me know in the comments. I just want to be 100% certain here. But yeah, C tier. The big man, the big cheese, the head honcho, if you will, the final boss of the current version of Dead Rail's Nikola Tesla. He's the large buff man that you assemble whenever you're in the Tesla lab, and this is the guy that determines whether you win or lose, if you choose to assemble him at least. However, he's technically not really that hard. Sure, he's a large bug man. I wrote bug in the script. Bro, how? He's a large buff man with big muscles and throws electrified boulders at you, even though you're the reason that he's alive, but he's mad about all that? Yeah, I had no idea. Regardless, he has the most health of any enemy in the entire game, and he can one-shot you if you are not being careful. I really don't think he's that bad to kill, though. Yeah, he's got a ton of HP, loaded damage dealing potential. Yeah, he's a menace, and he's fast, and the final boss of the game. But given enough time, he actually really isn't that bad to kill. Now, I will say that is mostly if you have the electrocutioner, of course. Don't want to leave that part out. But otherwise, yeah, he kind of can be a bit of a pain to kill if you just are using rifles or shotguns or, God forbid, pistols. So I'll still stick with probably S tier difficulty on my man Nikola Tesla right here. An enemy that a lot of you may have forgotten about, or maybe you weren't even playing Dead Rails at the time that it came out, is going to be the Easter Bunny. Now, this dude is effectively like Nikola Tesla, but from one game mode, during one night, during one event, and was a guaranteed spawn. You didn't have to do anything, he was just at the end of the game. He was larger, and I think higher damage dealing and faster than Nikola Tesla. However, he was so large that he couldn't fit through the main entrance of the final area, and that made him super easy to kill. Oversight by the devs? Yeah, but that doesn't change that it made him super easy to kill. However, I won't be too cruel about this guy, so I'll at least give my man here an A tier. Oh my God, we've done it. We made it to the end of the video. My throat is so dry. I need some water. Ah, that's nice. And you need to hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 300K by the end of the year, and that would be absolutely freaking incredible if you could help with that. But for the moment, that is going to be every single enemy in the entirety of Dead Rails on a tier list rated from least to most difficult. Do you agree with my list? Do you want to tear me limb from limb? Let me know all of your meanest and most evil threats in the comment section below. And with that said, I'd love to know your guys' own tier list if you've got one yourself. Please don't just say, never let this man cook again. It hurts my feelings. Anyway, that's pretty much going to be it for today's video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And of course, big shout out to all the channel members up on screen, of which you can become one too with the link in the description below to become a channel member, or the join button on my channel. It's only $1 a month, and it helps support the channel more than you'd imagine. And you get to be featured up on screen like them. Make sure to check out one of the videos or playlists up on screen that YouTube's recommending to you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.